Our panel, Fox News political analyst Juan Williams and former chief of staff to Mitch McConnell, Josh Holmes. Juan, how do you explain this? How do you sit in a hotel room in Mexico and tell people back in your city, stay home, don't go anywhere, live by different rules than me?
Well, it's just rank hypocrisy by politicians. I don't think there's any getting around it, Sandra. No explaining it. It's just bad behavior by politicians, especially since I think it's human nature to want to follow the leader's example. And clearly you have bad behavior, but I want to be clear, it's not a matter of bad policy. Those policies are good policies, and I just wish the leaders had exhibited good practices by exhibiting that they, in fact, were faithful to their own policies.
Josh, Juan says leaders, because we're not just talking about the mayor of Austin, Texas. Put up on the screen, remember the stories with Gavin Newsom at the fancy restaurant, French Laundry. The London Breed, the San Francisco mayor, dined at the same restaurant one day later, pushing for more restrictions for the people there. Los Angeles County Supervisor, we know these stories. Josh, why do they keep happening?
Yeah, I mean, this is the Marie Antoinette style of governing during a crisis. Let them eat cake, right? I mean, we've got a number of liberal governors and mayors across the country who've engaged in just absolute rank hypocrisy here at the highest level. And I think the question is, you know, how's that working out? Their lifestyle is exactly the same as it was before this crisis started. And if you look at where things are now, they have no problem at locking down their communities, bankrupting their businesses, turning their cities basically into burnt out trash cans, but yet they continue to live these amazing lifestyles. And so, yeah, this is a real problem. And I think if they got outside their bubble, they looked around and realized Americans could make some decisions for themselves, that ultimately they'd be in a lot better place than just sort of governing from abroad and PJing out to Cabo.
One, and there's a much bigger picture here too, and that is the small businesses that are struggling to survive, if they've even been able to hang on this long. And Dr. Fauci was on with Martha last night and somehow suggested that perhaps the shutdowns are being misinterpreted. Listen to this.
It's doing some fundamental basic public health measures that is certainly short of locking down. I think there is kind of a misunderstanding of people thinking that when you ask people to do some simple public health measures,
I don't think that all these businesses are misunderstanding what's going on. They're not allowed to open. The schools, many of them are closed. You've got college kids who've been literally prisoners in their dorm rooms. They can't leave. And, you know, little kids whose mothers have had to quit their jobs. I mean, tell them that there's no lockdown, doctor.
One, it's tough. It's tough out there, and people are struggling, and now they're acting out in some cases. They're trying to fight back.
Well, they should. I mean, look, I think people feel trapped, and this has been going on for a long time, Sandra. So it's not as if you said, well, take this step for a few weeks and we'll be okay. I mean, at the moment, we're talking about well into the spring because of what we've heard from the CDC director, that he thinks that January and February are going to be so hard.
Josh, final thought?
Yeah, look, I think people can make the decision for themselves, honestly. I think most Americans understand who the vulnerable populations are within their family, and they make their decisions accordingly.
All right, we wish all those small businesses that are trying to get through this the very, very best. Juan, Josh, great to see both of you. Thank you.
Thanks, Sandra.
All right, cheers.
Well,